Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Secrets of a Witch podcast with me, Sabrina Scott. On this show, in case you're new here, we talk all about spirituality, witchcraft, magic, energy work, mediumship, spirit work, what else? Trauma, healing, mindset, feminine energy, dating, love, family, living a good and happy life. And unfortunately, today I am sad. And the episode is going to reflect that a little bit for a few reasons. So I'm just going to get right into it. Today is the anniversary of 9/11. And I don't know how many of y'all know this, but I spent my formative years in the United States. Like, I grew up there since I was a little baby. And so even though I live in Canada now, even though I was born in Canada, I do feel a lot of resonance with the United States. And it just was really emotional for me when 9/11 happened. And I do think it is so important to remember those who have passed and honor them and just sit with, for a moment, the horror that they must have experienced in their last moments of life, and just reflect on that, how life can be taken from any of us in an instant by surprise. We have no idea it's happening. We have no idea that day is going to be our day, and it can just happen. I imagine being in those buildings, imagine being on those planes, imagine your loved one being in any of those situations. I think a lot of people have lost the plot, but have lost the connection to what it means to die, to experience death. People now see death and murder as content, as entertainment, as funny, rather than as the horrific, despicable, depressing, awful thing that it is. And so if you have a moment today, if you have a spare candle today, I would really encourage you to light at least one for those who died on 9/11, to just remember them, to remember the first responders who, in some cases, sacrificed their lives to help others, to reflect on how courageous those people are, and to wonder, do you have that same level of courage? If that was you today and that happened, how would you step up? How would you help others? How would you be of service? It's a question worth thinking about. And I think it's a question that a lot of people now don't think about. People see death as entertainment, as content, like it's just a movie that we're watching on social media. And I'm a little bit sick of it. And this is especially in light of the assassination, politically motivated assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday in Utah. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I fucking bawled my eyes out on and off for hours yesterday when I learned that this happened. And I realize that might be surprising for some of y'all, since I am a witch and he was an evangelical Christian and had some of those particular values. And so, yeah, we did not agree about everything. Of course not. But who cares? Who cares? My compassion for the deaths of others, my compassion for the political assassination of other people is not dependent on how similar someone is to me, nor should it be for you, in my opinion. Our compassion for others should not be based on sameness. And I feel we're in a world right now, unfortunately, where everyone has become so brainwashed by echo chambers on social media that they don't know how to interact with and don't want to interact compassionately with people who in any way are different from them, particularly in terms of thought. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying, oh, I don't care about that guy. He thought blah, 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 blah. How can you think this? He was anti-abortion. So can you as a woman, how can you as a witch be sad that he is dead? Because I am a fucking human being who makes space for multiple perspectives in life. I don't want to live in a world, though unfortunately I fucking do right now, as do we all, where half the population celebrates the assassination of someone that represents something that they disagree with. I'm sickened by it, and y'all also should be sickened by it. The killing of that CEO guy by that Luigi dude who everyone is fucking fawning over, all of that I was also incredibly disgusted by, and all of that was and is the canary in the coal mine for this situation. People were glorifying that innocent man's murder, all because he worked for a particular company, and celebrating the assassination of innocent people. These are not politicians. These are not war generals. These are not, people who are doing anything other than their job. In the case of Charlie Kirk, I think it really hit me, especially because all he did was have debates with people he disagreed with. He invited people he disagreed with to have a conversation with him. He was polite. He was calm. He was logical. And he invited people to have a conversation. How many of y'all listening can say the same about yourselves? How many of y'all listening to this, and I'm hoping this is most of you, actually, because if you're in my world, I'm hoping that you've adopted some of my values of open debate, discussion, connection across difference. Sometime last year, one of my homework assignments to everyone on Instagram was to read 6 books by people you think you hate or think that you're going to be in disagreement with, and to see what happens. I don't know how many people actually did that, but I know some did. And I know that when I did that myself, it completely changed my life and completely changed my perspectives. I realized I was wrong about a lot of the assumptions I was making about people whose work I had not read. It's important. It disturbs me how much people are in their little echo chambers. There's a smugness to it all. A certainty, an arrogance, a hubris. And I think it's so important to have in the back of our minds, what if I'm wrong? What else can I learn about this issue, this situation, this topic? And I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of people have lost that idea. That ability, those values of open debate, intellectual exploration, and really looking into multiple points of view from multiple perspectives. To really be able to understand one another, we can't just fucking shoot each other when we disagree with somebody. That is all this man is guilty of, is exercising his right to free speech. He was not a violent individual. Literally all he did was host debates and built like an influential platform online. As a successful businessman and creator of a movement, successful influencer and podcaster, I looked up to him as he achieved something amazing. Whether or not you agree with his politics, it doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is he built something. He has done something with his way too short life. How many of us can say the same? How many of us can say that we had such a massive impact on improving the lives and minds of other people? And again, you don't have to agree with the guy. You don't have to like his politics. But the fact of the matter is, he spent his time going out and talking to people that he disagreed with. And I'm sure some people changed their minds after they talked to him. Some of them didn't. And that's okay. It's not about who is right and wrong in the topic of debate. It's really not. I obviously didn't agree with him about everything. I think abortion should be legal, obviously, but I still respect him for what he was doing. And as y'all know, maybe you don't know, I'm a conservative. I have been since 2020. And a lot of people are surprised by that, because a lot of people, for some reason, think that you can't be a conservative and a witch at the same time, which I think is fucking insane. So that's probably something I need to write more about, because I'm sure there are more of us out there. We are just few and far between, but we shouldn't be. And I don't think we actually are. But anyway, another reason I was crying yesterday is because someone was basically assassinated for being a conservative out loud, intelligently in public. And the rise of this violence among leftists who just want to murder people on the right, I think, is really disgusting. And I'm not going to both sides this right now. This is not the time for it. It's not the time for it. That will be maybe another discussion. But right now, this is what is on my heart. It's what's on my mind. And my cat Choya says hello as I'm recording this. I don't know if you guys can hear her squeaking over here. But it upsets me. As a conservative, I wanted to go to some events. I wanted to go to some rallies. Back when we had our federal election here in Canada this spring. And I was a chicken shit and decided not to, because I was too afraid that there was going to be some kind of attacks or violence or something. And from what I heard from someone I know who did go to one of the ones I was considering, yeah, there actually have been anti-whatever protests at these rallies too. People trying to attack the people showing up just to support their candidate. This should not be happening in America, and it should not be happening in Canada. It should not be happening anywhere. People should be able to support whatever political party they want to. And my cat just made a funny noise. I do have, as you guys know, I went to the Nova Festival exhibition a few months back, and I bought a yellow ribbon to basically support the return of the hostages. And I have not actually worn that out yet. And I'm really curious what's going to happen when I do. If anyone is going to say anything to me, if anyone's going to attack me, am I too much of a wimp to wear that? I don't know. We're going to find out. At the moment, I have been too much of a wimp to wear it, even though it's an issue that is incredibly close to my heart. And at that exhibition, there was oodles of police because they were kind of anticipating. And so there was intense security measures to get in. A few weeks ago, I was at the ROM and we were trying to see the Auschwitz exhibition. It was full, so we couldn't get in. And there was hella security at the ROM, more so than I'd ever seen. And there was protesters outside protesting an exhibition about Auschwitz. I mean, what the hell? People have completely lost it. And one of the things I really wanted to get into today is, on a spiritual level, this assassination, what does it mean? Late last night, I was up just contemplating this event, being sad, and just reflecting on it. And it strikes me as interesting, and also really fucked up, and also really crazy on a spiritual level, that, and I did watch the video of him being killed, and he pretty much looks like he dies instantly. It's one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen, and that image of that video will stay in my mind forever. And if anyone has not watched it, honestly, I'm tempted to say don't watch it, but I'm also tempted to say do watch it. Like, see what the reality is here. You know, everyone who wants to just downplay this is not a big deal or as funny. Watch the video. It's fucked. Learn some compassion. But anyway, on a spiritual level, I find it fucking insane that he was shot in the neck. He was shot in the throat and died pretty much instantly. And if we think about this spiritually, it's very crazy that he was shot in the fucking neck, in the throat, for his freedom of speech, for his ideas, for his thoughts, for his speech and communication. As we all know, the throat chakra is the chakra that is all about communication and speech. And the crazy thing is, he was wearing a shirt that said freedom, that then got soaked in his blood. And it just, I don't know, it makes me really emotional that someone is killed through the neck, killed through the throat. Literally, the bullet punctures the physical and spiritual throat chakra, right? And someone is dead for their speech. I have no idea if the shooter's intention was to get the throat. Who knows? Hopefully we'll find out at some point what exactly was going on with this. But if you think about it on a spiritual level, it is pretty fucked up. You know, that happens to be where the bullet hit. If it was the arm, the leg, even the chest, you know, it would not be quite as symbolic as, and literal, obviously, as it is with the way that it occurred. And this is all, I don't know, it's crazy because a few days ago, I actually did get my new aura photos. I posted on Instagram if anyone's curious to go see. So for the past year and a half, as I've been working on my PhD, working on my new book, which is out now on Amazon for everyone to buy for a reasonable amount of money, my aura was always red, yellow, orange, like the bottom chakras, which is very physical. It's creative, it's generative, it's rooted, and it has to do with physical exertion. You know, that physical rooted creation process and individuation, expression of will with the yellow. And when I went a few days ago, I kind of anticipated that my aura would be different since a lot of that exertion, those projects are kind of done now. But my aura mostly right now is blue. A lot of blue, which is throat chakra. Our throat chakra is our communication. It is our speech. It is our expression. And you know what's interesting is I've always had issues with my tonsils. And when I got them out in 2022, I found speech symbolically and literally a lot easier. And so our physical issues can impede, let's say, our spiritual. And the spiritual also can, I think, create issues in the physical. And so do I think that I developed kind of issues with my tonsils because I was stifling my own speech? Yes, I do, actually. That's probably a topic for another episode. But removing them, that physical removal of my tonsils did help my speech flow, my communication flow a lot better than it had. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And so if we're looking at this assassination on a spiritual level, it's very interesting that that happens to be where that fatal single shot hit this man. And I think as spiritual people, we should be thinking about that. We should be reflecting about that. And as witches, so I'm sure a lot of y'all listening to this are witchy, maybe not everyone. It is, in my opinion, our responsibility to not shy away from death, to not shy away from what is challenging, to not shy away from the difficulties of the era that we are in. Witches at our best are catalysts for change. And actually, what's insane is I saw something, and I do not claim these witches, but I saw something that said that a bunch of Etsy witches were paid to curse Charlie Kirk. And I think if you're one of those witches, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. I do not claim you. And it's interesting. There was a book I was invited to be a reader for before it was acquired by a publisher. And in that book, basically this person was praising how witches were cursing Trump and all of this stuff, hexing Trump or whatever. And honestly, I don't agree with any of that. I don't care what your politics are. I disagree with a lot of politicians, but I'm not going to spend my time hexing them. Personally, I think it is a fucked up and stupid way to use magic, and I think people who are using magic that way need to fucking seek therapy and do some magic on yourselves. It's just, like, I don't even know where to start with this. Witches should not be cursing random politicians that you don't agree with, or social media influencers that have different politics than you. When did it become a crime to disagree with you? Are you so arrogant that if someone disagrees with you, you think you should curse them? Like, excuse me? It's irresponsible. It's unethical. It's childish. Like, how old are you? And I'm sure most people doing this curse and people who paid for it likely, I would assume, are in their 30s at least. It's childish. And I've told off some of my students before, actually, when they've, like, hexed or cursed people who annoyed them. It's like, I'm sorry, you don't do that. It's not okay. Yeah, we can do that type of work, but that is really reserved for serious situations. You know? And even then, that work can tie you to that person. As y'all know, I have been, maybe you don't know, in my early 20s, I was raped twice. I have a book of poems about the healing process and the rage I felt at the moment, and the 10 plus years of healing that I had to do to kind of move past that. But I actually never cursed my rapists, nor do I plan to. It creates an energetic tie to those people, and that is not something that I wanted. And so it's something to think about, right? We're getting a little bit off topic here, but it's an important thing to think about, right? I always tell folks, do your magic on yourself. Create opportunities for yourself. Banish the bad behaviors, habits, thoughts in yourself. Process your emotions in a healthy way. Yeah, that can be done through magic. But honestly, I don't really agree 95% of the time with magic done on other people. It's not the vibe, usually. And I would say it's definitely not the vibe in this case. And I've had some hate mail basically saying that it's not spiritual, and it's shocking that I, as a witchy tarot lady, am sad that this man was assassinated in cold blood. And so if the dominant narrative in Witchylandia on Instagram or wherever is that we should be celebrating the murder and assassination of people we disagree with, I think that is fucking insane. If you are someone who wants people you disagree with to die, like, please respectfully never speak to me. Don't hire me, unfollow me. You know, just like, please, I can't help you. You know, that is a sickness. That is a sickness. There are a lot of people I disagree with. A lot. Like, I have very strong opinions. Have I ever wanted any of them to die? Like, no. I would be horrified. I would be horrified. Death is really extreme and you can't come back from it. I also don't wish anyone bad things, to be honest. And I think this retaliation culture, this grievance culture, this assassination culture, this cancel culture is toxic. All for the crime of what? Disagreement? Are we so close-minded and insecure and immature and fragile that disagreement triggers us so much that we want someone to die? What is going on? And, I wasn't sure if I should even fucking record this episode. A lot of people talk to me who I'm close to are like, you might want to lay low. I don't want you to get assassinated. It's like, yeah, totally fair. And I also don't believe in being silenced. I believe that the throat chakra should not be blocked. We need to speak out about how insane and like how crazy these normalized ideologies are. It is not normal to be so fragile intellectually and emotionally that you wish death on people you disagree with for simply speaking words that you don't like. The left-wing ideology that says that words are violence and equates a bad word, let's say, with bullets is part of what has caused this issue, in my opinion. And I say this as someone who used to be on the far left. It's toxic. And it's gotten a lot worse since I left the left. Words are not violence. It's just a fact. I'm sorry, but it is. Yeah, sometimes hate mail, it hurts my feelings. But is it violence? No, it isn't. It's just someone being a dickhead, okay? And one thing I think a lot of people need to learn is just to ignore, to move past it, to feel it, to move on, to journal, to talk with your friends how you feel, talk with your partner, talk it out, talk to a therapist, whatever you need to do. Don't physically harm somebody. And don't fantasize about it either. I saw someone that I used to be friends with post today on Facebook. I'm going to unfriend this person. It is healthy to lose compassion for people who wish harm on others or something. And so clearly this person, what they were saying, basically, I read it as insinuating that, if you are totally not caring that Charlie Kirk was murdered, that makes sense. And I really don't think it does. I really don't think it does. Someone is murdered over speech. No matter where you are politically, no matter what you believe, we should all be alarmed about this. We should all be grieving this. Because if you could be laughing today because you don't like the guy, but what happens when it's one of your own? Probably it's not so fucking funny anymore, is it? And this is the thing that gets me. It's always funny to these people until it's one of their own, and then it's a crisis. It's a complete lack of compassion. It's a complete lack of being able to really put yourself in someone else's shoes. There's a narcissism to it, I would say, and an arrogance. I posted on my Instagram that I was crying over this death. And I still got a bunch of hate mail from people who clearly did not give a fuck about my emotional state. And just sent a bunch of mean, stupid, critical, rude shit in my inbox. And one of which was someone that I've been cool with for a long time. And it's interesting to me how this death is so abstract to people. Death is in no way abstract. In no way abstract. And since, our generation, at least speaking for myself in my 30s, there really hasn't been any mandatory conscription. There's been no mandatory military service. People have not gotten drafted because there's been no wars. Well, there has been wars, but you guys know what I mean. It's not like it was. And so I think people used to have an idea what fucking death looks like, how it's real, how you can't come back from it, how horrifying it is. Now, since war is so distant and most people don't have experience of loved ones dying in war and coming back from war and telling stories about death, A lot of people, it's abstract. It is not real. It's as if you're playing a video game or watching a movie. It's that emotionally impactful to people. And people have lost it. They've lost this material connection to what death is. And I don't wish a connection to death on people, but it definitely gives you some fucking perspective on what death is. How material and horrible it is. How you can't come back from it. The ripples of pain it causes. And so I'll say it again. Nobody, let alone anyone spiritual, should be rejoicing about a political assassination over freedom of speech. No one should be murdered for their speech, let alone in a public place creating mass terror. At a university of all places that is supposed to be about the free exchange of ideas. It's a very throat chakra energy place, a university. At least it should be. I would argue that has gone down over the years. How freely the throat chakra operates in the university, I think, has decreased since the time that I was in university. Undergrad anyway. And it's sad. When the throat chakra is blocked as a country, as a nation, as a people, as an individual, we all suffer. You don't have to like someone's speech, but don't wish them dead. How insecure do you have to be to feel that way? If that is you, please seek help. Please. Because that ideology is so toxic, and it will do harm to you, and it will do harm to everyone in your life as well. Okay, guys, that's my heavy episode for today. I think that's all I have to say for now. I personally will be lighting some candles for Charlie's spirit as I am lighting candles for the spirits that passed on 9/11. Praying for everyone's soul and spirit. And I also am going to pray that people fucking get a grip and knock out of it their weird ideology. Hating people for a difference in opinion is so toxic. Like, I may not agree with someone, but I will absolutely fight for their freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is sacred, and when we don't have it, what are we going to devolve into? Like some crazy third world country where people get assassinated for speaking the truth of their thoughts? I fucking hope not. I'm afraid that we are all headed there. It's very, very sad. I think we should all really be thinking about this. I don't care what your politics are. Okay, y'all, that's the depressing episode for today. Sending everyone lots of love and healing and peace. And even though this is uncomfortable, please do take the time to contemplate what I've said. Please reflect on what I've said, no matter where you're at politically. And I've always said, I don't care what your politics are. You are welcome here. Even if you are a far lefty, if you're still here with me, I welcome you. We can still be friends. It's all good. I can still work with you. It's fine. I miss the era of the coexist stickers. Do you guys remember? So when I was growing up in the 90s, literally every second fucking car had a coexist sticker on it with like all the different religious symbols, and the coexist was spelt out with these different images that represented different spiritualities. I used to think they were super cheesy, and now I miss seeing them. I would love to see those again, because I feel like we have forgotten how to fucking do that, and we all suffer when that's the case. All right, y'all, gonna leave you with that for now. As always, my website, sabrinamscott.com. I am doing coaching right now. I'm doing tarot readings right now. I actually have a new tarot client special on right now. So, hour-long reading for the price of a 30-minute one for any first-time clients. And coaching, would love to help you with your things. I'd love to help you with your things. And that's it for now. I'm not going to do a big ad at the end here because, vibes. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know it might have not have been an easy or pleasant listen for some of you, but I do think it's important. And I needed to exercise my throat chakra. We can't keep it blocked. We got to keep the energy flowing. So thank you for staying with me through a difficult conversation. And I'm sending everyone love, light, and healing. Much love. Bye.